Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Wherever you are listening, we welcome you to this edition of the Big Biz Show. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for being along for the ride.
I'm turning the
And as we normally like to say around these here parts,
a big ol'.
Oh,
he cut you
there's
off.
the shirt.
I forgot that I could even do that.
Costa, Mary, Godwin, and Sully. Of course, that's the Day Trader Trio, too.
Hey, have you heard? First of all, how much are you on Amazon? Are you an Amazonian?
All day, every day.
Okay, wait a second.
Not after
I
the
have sent
news.
4 things to my daughter in college in a day. They're all going to the Amazon lockbox hub in Ivy.
I'm officially
individual
boycotting
things.
Amazon.
It's terrible.
You go home and it's like Christmas because you forgot what you ordered?
Yeah. I mean, this summer?
Oh my God,
That is such a
You know
great
what I'm talking
point.
Yeah.
like,
I
'cause there's
forget.
box after
I'm like,
box after box.
No idea what it
And
is.
you didn't realize you're
like, oh,
But
hemorrhoid
it's all
cream
essential
again.
stuff. But it just...
chili cheese, sunflower seeds that grow your hair back or whatever. I have a habit of doing this. So if I see something, let's say it's a guitar or whatever, I first go to the website that it's on to look at it. Then I go to Amazon and see if I can get it tomorrow.
Always.
Yes,
Like, there's
of course.
See, there needs to be, Amazon needs to be has to have a feed for data scraping to find out how fast you can have it. I mean, that's a service.
It does.
provided.
I mean, that's what they do, yeah.
They are. Howie Font is our, of course, our analyst at New York.
When you're able to get it later that day.
Oh, that's the best.
Oh, I always pick 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. You wake up, there's a little
Yeah.
bright.
Yeah.
Amazon for all its heroin-esque
oh boy.
features, because everybody's got the vein line, the main line. Of the vein.
I thought you meant like a hero but female because it's Amazon. That was okay.
Yeah, that's a whole different.
Hard
but
drugs,
I did
never
purchase. I did purchase Gal Gadot's version of Wonder Woman on Amazon, so it's probably the same thing. What's a $2.5 billion settlement to resolve FTC allegations that it deceived millions of us by enrolling us in Prime memberships, which cost Prime? It's so interesting. Prime costs us about 2 cents a day.
Yes.
And it's cost, the major fees. So talk to it. Is it just because the amalgamation of all the people that use it times the 2 cents a day equaled billions of dollars?
Well, it's them not being upfront with the terms. So a lot of apps and subscriptions do this, but Amazon is obviously a big player, so they're getting hit with a big fine. Have you ever tried to cancel something and you have to write a letter to this office and you have to click 3 times and there's the next button is hidden. It's written in, a white background, the button's white, something like that. Well, the FTC, saw that Amazon was doing this a little bit, and so they subpoenaed them. My favorite fact in this is that the team that was handling the cancellation process, the software for it, called it the Iliad. They wanted it to be so hard to cancel.
That is great.
Howie, now that Jeff Bezos is bankrupt, what does he do next? I mean, that's a lot of money.
$2.5 billion. It'll take him almost the better part of an hour to raise that with his Amazon stock.
But is this one of those things where other companies are like, let's make sure that it's easy, whatever we have to cancel?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big fee. Don't get me wrong. It's a $1 billion straight up.
Hold on, Howie. Hold on to that because there is that big fee, and I just want you to realize how many times have we been part of a mass settlement, and you get the 57-cent check.
Yes.
That's the thing that's frustrating, is that it costs whomever more money to print the damn check and mail it with a 22-cent stamp. I don't know how much it costs because I don't mail it anymore anyway.
Yeah, I have no clue.
Versus the freaking thing. Hang on a second, Howard. I want to talk more about this because the settlement was reached 3 days after the trial began, meaning they're guilty. Right? Is that
All right.
what happens?
Crippling big companies. We're talking about it. Do not go anywhere. Big Biz Show rolls on right after this. The Amazon.
Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer@sullyentgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Big Biz Show. We roll on live from the Loft 100 Studios. We are located in Southern California, but we go out worldwide, especially on the Armed Forces Radio Network. All you brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces, thank you. Day Trader Trio, you just saw them on stage. Costa, Maribor Godwin, and Sully.
Look at Costa. Woo! We're rolling.
You're on fire.
Like 5 years.
Yeah, it only took me 5 years.
Let's get back to Howie Font, New York. The settlement, the Amazon agrees to pay a historic $2.5 billion settlement to resolve the FTC allegations that it deceived millions of us about the Prime memberships. It's interesting, though. You know, it is that when they got $1 billion in civil penalties and $1.5 billion in consumer refunds, and it's going to be about what, $50 each? Honestly, I said 57 cents. It's about $51 each, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
it's 50, but it's my $50. I say it all the time. Look, I may choose to fly up in the front, up in the leathers when I'm on the way somewhere, but and then I argue over a 19-cent can of corn, but it's my 19 cents, right? It is.
So what are they saying there? That they deceived people into enrolling? How does
they
that?
enrolled you without telling you and then charged you. Basically, essentially, right now.
Yeah, you'll do a program where you get free Prime with your Verizon subscription, something like that.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And then you'll get free Prime for 6 months a year. And then it'll auto-renew, and you never know, and all of a sudden the charge hits, and then you try to decline and end the Prime membership because you don't want to pay, and then you're reading the Iliad, like they said, and you can't even figure it out, and then you get charged again while you're trying to figure out how to cancel.
Well, as we're all refinancing because of low interest rates, get used to the Iliad, because how many signatures do you have to sign that you've never read? All you read is the top of the page that says, agree not to let them kill me. Okay, so agree to let them take my money out forever and ever. Okay, I'll sign that too. So I just want to get the loan done. That whole lice type is what we call it. And it came out when you first signed your first cell phone bill. Yeah. The contract starts out, and then at the very bottom, it's typed the size of lice. But look, there's some positives to some of those things, and there's some negatives. Howie and I talk very often about when you sign a brokerage agreement, a stock brokerage agreement. It allows the brokerage to loan out your shares, so they can short the companies, and so basically you're shorting companies that you own stock in, which is basically directly betting against the companies you own stock in because you didn't read it. Howie, I think that's a bigger thing here. Had people look at. Was Amazon criminally nefarious by doing a Snidely Whiplash? No, I think they were negligent. I think it was obtuse. The bigger picture is, how come it's okay for us to be able to click through and have such onerous agreements that allow us to let our brokerage short stocks, that allow us to let cell phone companies? Do you know why Waze works? And do you know why Google Maps works? Because when you sign a cell phone agreement, you agree to have that cell phone, not you necessarily, but where that cell phone is, be tracked, meaning that the maps, the satellites know exactly how fast that cell phone's moving. Yes. Now, if I'm on Waze and a cell phone ahead of me, and they all have cell phones, is moving at 2 miles an hour, Waze can warn me there's a traffic jam ahead. Get off here and go around it. That's a positive thing. However, I agreed to it without even knowing it. What if I don't want to have people know how fast I'm going? especially if I'm Usain Bolt and I'm
you don't get to use the service. I mean, who reads the iTunes service agreement? I mean,
But isn't that?
what are you gonna do? Not have a phone? Like, yeah.
I mean, look, there's this online shoppers confidence act that's coming out from the FTC. Okay, and there needs to be a confidence act that we say yes and we listen to the guarantees top line, but then we sign these 40-page contracts. And then if something, and look, and agreements are there in the name of good business because our idea is we're going to do business and we're going to work together. But if we don't, that's why we have an agreement. Any agreement, by the way, young people, to sign, whether you're building a fire pit in your backyard or you're signing a contract for employment, it's also a prenup. It's a prenuptial saying if things go south, this is what's going to happen. So stop about prenuptial agreements. I think it's a good thing.
Anyway. Yeah, I think it's important to just point out here that, what you're saying is right. I mean, it's not like everyone who uses Prime is getting screwed by any means. It's just they have this deficiency. It's pretty shady. The FTC called it shady, and now they're having to pay the price for it. Let's keep in mind, this is a $2.5 billion settlement.
What do they make per year in the fees?
Yeah. Exactly, 44 billion annually. I mean,
hold on. I think
5%.
The slap on the wrist of
Jeff Bezos just made it back.
They don't even give their employees free Prime. A friend of mine,
don't?
No, a friend of mine works for Amazon Studios.
Why? What should they?
Because it's a perk of working there.
It's no, there's other person working there. Why do they
Not according to her.
Oh, really? Then why work there? You have a choice to work elsewhere.
Yeah,
there's
stock
plenty.
options in
Amazon, that sweatshop.
Good Lord.
Well, they already give. They already pay the most 401k matches in the world.
Yeah.
I mean,
their health care
more
is
free
really
money than anybody else. It's just never enough. Well, they can afford it. How do you know they can afford it?
Because 44. What was the number you just said? 44 billion.
But what?
They can afford it.
They operate at a loss.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Let me ask you this.
I don't have a dog in the hunt. Sorry.
Okay, let me ask you this. So whatever.
I mean, I don't really care because I don't work for
Whatever you
them,
make
but-
top line, do you just multiply it with taxes? You just pay on that, or you try to get your write-offs?
Oh.
You try to get write-offs?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so does Amazon. It's called that's our tax code.
Yeah.
Amazon didn't make money for 20 years. They kind of
You can't blame Amazon for using the tax code just like you do.
Mary, get him. Don't take that.
Yeah.
Get him.
I mean,
Reach across
we
the
all
bar and
use the
choke
tax
him.
code. Listen, I'm not for big business at all, and I think there needs to be two sets of rules.
The name of our show, buddy.
Yeah, no,
Easy.
It's big business. That's even your show.
Okay.
Yours is a large business program. Mine's Big Biz Show. Okay, but my point is, look, I do think there needs to be two sets of rules for the guy that owns a delicatessen or the dry cleaner.
Sure.
Versus Amazon, but we are all using the same tax code to avoid tax. Tax avoidance is not illegal. In fact, it's usually encouraged.
How are we getting? I'm sorry, I don't see how you make the jump from what I was talking about.
Because you use because you don't pay tax on the top line, neither do they.
I'm not a $44 billion company.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
That has employees that I want to perk to have them enjoy working for.
$2.5 trillion company.
Thank you, Howie.
That's their market cap. That's not how much they're making. Okay, but the long story short is, think of it this way. If you are trying to maximize your income by not overpaying taxes, you use every nook and cranny of the tax code so that your bottom line's bigger. They do the same thing. And by the way, it's illegal not to because they have a fiduciary responsibility. Wait. Hold on a second. Yeah. It's illegal not to because because the CEO has a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders to do just that. And none of the shareholders are, what's what I'm looking for? Employees.
Yeah.
So the long story short is they're doing nothing wrong in terms of trying to squeeze out every dollar.
I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong.
But you're bitching at them for not doing even more.
One of their costs to offset the taxes could be benefits for employees to get free Prime. Let's propose it. Let's be the change we want to see in the world.
Let's see how much How much is it really going to cost them?
Do you think Amazon's shady?
Well, hearing about the Iliad, maybe a little bit.
Do you think somebody purposely, intentionally?
Absolutely.
Okay, when you're going 75 miles,
I think the warehouses.
You think somebody intentionally was? I think I'll get them.
I think people intentionally make it businesses intentionally make it challenging to get out of these contracts. They don't make it easy to reach anybody. They don't make it easy. It's a white button on a white background. I mean, yeah, they do. Because that determines their bottom line.
You know what?
If they're bringing home more money.
All the times that I have called Amazon and asked for Jeff Bezos, I've never gotten him once. Zero. So I'm with her on this.
Can I give you a hint about that, though, on a separate side? Best Buy, one time, Best Buy was a public company, BBY. I don't know if they still are or not, but that was their symbol. And I remember Russ and I had a horrible time. Rusty Nails, my former co-host that passed away a couple of years ago, had a horrible time with somebody at Best Buy So what I did is I went and bought 1 share of Best Buy stock, and I called the CEO's office, knowing I'd never get the CEO. But I got a very capable assistant saying, I'm a customer, I'm a shareholder, and I demand action. I tell you what happened. I got a call back almost 2 days later from somebody else to resolve my issue.
Oh, wow.
You have an issue.
Pretty cool.
You have an issue. Buy 1 share of stock.
Love it.
Call the highest place you can. I'm a shareholder and I'm a customer. And look at, you probably won't get Jeff Bezos, but you'll get his mom.
What you get for crime?
Hi, this is Gladys Bezos. Yes, you have a problem.
By the way, me and Howie know where his mom lives. Remember, Howie?
That is our market analyst on the Big Biz Show, Howie Font. All right, keep it here. There's lots more coming your way. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this. We appreciate you being along for this episode of the show. That's the Day Trader Trio right there, live and in person, best in the business. As I like to say, no less than self-taught. Back here at the bar, it is Costa, it is Marybird Godwin, who's looking beautiful today, and of course, it is Sully.
That's sexual harassment. You're fired.
I always forget.
And if you don't do it, you're fired.
All right.
You heard Tom Cruise.
It happened.
We're brought to you by Prudential. Let Prudential be your rock for retirement. Also brought to you by Bayer Advance. Better science, better results. Little company I like to call Starbucks. Maybe you haven't heard of them, but they're out there. They serve coffee. Of course, Bloomin' Brands are fine family restaurants. And let's not forget Taylor Guitars. Welcome to the program.
Love it.
Do you remember, I remember flying up to a record label about 2 years ago, and I got flown up on a private plane. And it hugged the California coast from San Diego just up to just past, I believe, Long Beach.
Okay.
But I remember looking down, and you could always pick it. Okay, well, there's Huntington Beach. Oh, and there's and you saw all of the ships during the COVID sort of crisis.
Oh, the container
that were lined
ships.
up like ants in, going all the way south
down to Baja,
waiting to get into the Port of Los Angeles to where they unloaded. And it made us all learn this term supply chain.
Yeah.
Right? And supply. And then we learned Economics 101, when you have too much demand and too little supply, then prices go up. Let's talk about our next guest, because he's right. He was right in the middle of it.
Michael Flum is the Chief Executive Officer and President of CreditRiskMonitor.com Incorporated. Their ticker symbol is CRMZ. We actually had a person who owns their stock call in, sent an email and said, hey, you guys should be talking to this guy, and that is why he is on the Big Biz
Was it like
Show
you should talk to this guy because I'm mad at him, or you should talk to this guy because we like him?
I think it was a talk to him because we like him.
Got some bad news for you, Mike, because I got that shareholder right here on the air.
It's an ambush.
Could you imagine if we had a Jerry Springer type show?
Oh, that'd be fun.
And it's those shareholders usually own about $6 worth of your stock. It's never the guys that own $1 million.
I think Michael would just lean forward on his computer and just bring it down. And end of interview.
Hey, Michael, thanks for coming on the program. Boy, you are at the tip of the spear and have been on what I just described with the supply chain issue. Talk about an overall sort of, because now we can bring in the word tariffs, and we've always had the geopolitical sort of tension. We got more bankruptcies happening, but boy, I'll tell you, really what's interesting is supply chain comes up in everyday conversation with Johnny Lunchbucket and Citi CEO more than ever. Give us the problem what you guys are solving over there.
Well, we actually started more so on just financial risk in general, thinking about trade credit. So we kind of ended up in supply chain just by happenstance. We started going to the ISM, Institute for Supply Chain Management or Supply Management, about, I guess now 8 or 10 years ago. And we started to realize that we had clients that were using our trade credit platform actually to look at the other direction of this relationship. So typically we have what you would consider actually the suppliers looking at their customers for their credit worthiness. In this case, we actually had the customers looking back at their suppliers to understand whether or not they had, continuity concerns. So it kind of was actually in some ways coincidental that we ended up there, but we were generating about 20% of our new revenue off of that use case, despite having a platform that was not optimized really for that use. So back in 2020 or so, actually 2019 or so, we started developing Supply Chain Monitor. And I want to tell you it was because we're really smart and saw, COVID coming down.
So just go with that. Listen, go with it. We'll edit it down to that.
I want to tell you, we saw that, and the same way we also saw kind of a reversion from globalization over the last 70 years, and supply chain complexity of using basically subsidized shipping to justify moving products into low cost environments for production. But that was all again just coincidence. So we happened to time it particularly right, but we launched that product back in May of 2022, and it's taken us some time to get it figured out. We're much more of a tinkering shop, so we're not we're not very interested in doing negative cash flow style supplemented or subsidized selling. So we've really been trying to craft out exactly where it fits in the marketplace. But to your point, it's certainly something that keeps coming up, and now it's very hard for any supply chains to ignore. What I think we were actually interested to find is that because we work with fairly sophisticated businesses, we've got about 40% of the Fortune 1000, plus well over 1,000 other customers worldwide that use our service listing. But because more sophisticated user types and businesses tend to be a little bit downstream in the way that they think about this process, they were actually doing financial monitoring of these suppliers as part of their processes. When we got into the market in general, we found that was actually something that's really more of a sourcing function typically, and it's happening when you're onboarding. But then there's not a whole lot of follow up on that, because when you're a supply chain professional for risk, you're interested in KPIs that are more related to like your core functions, like is stuff being delivered on time? Does it have high quality? Is my business investing in capacity or maintenance capex to keep up with capacity? Are they investing in R&D? All the things that can help with innovation and staying at a more appropriate cost basis. Those are great. We think about those as being things you should always monitor, because that's more about the operational performance of the business. But to the same extent, if I could tell you that the financial performance of a business or the distress or the strength of a business can be maybe a canary in the coal mine for those issues coming down the park, right? That's really where you can get out in front of being reactive, like what we saw in COVID, to being more proactive, where you've really already set up your protocols. You know who your alternative suppliers are. You've got those sources of supply already set up to, basically throttle when you get into issues. And you can also get in front of those suppliers and maybe help, support them either through capital, ingestion, or even just through process maintenance. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it, but we found that those businesses that tend to invest in that monitoring tend to have far better performance, and they've got way better responsiveness when these things come up, and they will come up, right? I mean, black swans are basically what you expect today now.
That's my call sign in the Navy, Black Swan. Yeah. Michael Flum is the Chief Executive Officer, President at CreditRiskMonitor.com, Inc. Their ticker symbol is CRMZ.
I think it was blackballed and it was out of the military.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Hey, Michael, so talk about your business model there with stock symbols, by the way, ticker symbol CRMZ, CreditRiskMonitor.com is their website. But talk about the business model in whole, and client acquisition, closing cycle, all the way down to how you guys make money.
Yeah, so I mean, we are a SaaS business, so a lot of this comes down to front end cost of acquisition, and we tend to be very sticky. We don't actually provide detailed information as far as our retention rates or anything like that, but we have said publicly in the past that they're above 90%. So really, what our game is to get people into the door. The product itself is really great. We have an NPS score of about 77. Our customer support and product quality scores are about 4.6 out of 5 in our last survey.
I want to talk to you about artificial intelligence and how has the uptick in AI, how has it affected your business? It seems like it would help it.
Positive or negative, because I can see a double-edged sword there too.
Yeah, you well said. It is both ways. I think number one, it really helps us in terms of data acquisition and being able to do research and punch up on business records to get more insight into what they're doing, right? So that helps us from a coverage standpoint. I think it also helps us on delivering at scale really useful insights and recommendations that are much more conversational or narrative, which allows our user base to defend those positions upstream to the office of the CFO or the office of the CPO, right? So those are really positive things from us, and we think it's also going to help.
Hey man, will you come back with us? We got to get you in studio. I mean, there's a million topics here that are not just about your company, though, but what we're going through in business and commerce. I really appreciate you being so generous with your time, man.
Michael Flum, Chief Executive Officer, President, CreditRiskMonitor.com Incorporated. Of course, their ticker symbol is CRMZ.
Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, our affiliates, and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any persons, or that investment in such securities would be profitable in general.
Given the nature of our company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for their securities, and investing is highly speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its host for the profile coverage.
3, 2, 1. From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stock if we are speaking about, interviewing, or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully. Duh.
And read the investor information available on the website.
On the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, at www.sec.gov.
Or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
Loft 100 Studios here in Southern California, Big Biz Show. That is the Day Trader Trio. Lucky enough to hear them every single episode. Back here at the bar, it's Costa, it's Marybird Godwin, and of course, it is Sully.
Good to have you on today. Look who we have. We have a new studio guest, Amro Albanna, who's been on the air with us before. Came all the way down from the high hills of, is it in Riverside County? Riverside County.
Yeah.
And came into the studio, which we'd prefer. Because now we can just grill you. We have all of your shareholders in the lobby.
Okay.
I want to have a conversation with you. Give an intro out, buddy.
Co-founder, CEO of AditXT Incorporated. Of course, their ticker symbol is ADTX. And we, one of those situations where we first got them on, first came on the show, we were like, okay, that's one of those guys where let's keep this relationship going and let's get him in studio. And lucky enough, like you said, just Riverside, hop, skip, and jump down here to Carlsbad.
Talk about the space you guys are in, because you guys are when we talk about immune health monitoring and modulation, what does that mean to you? What should that mean to the rest of us?
Sully, it is truly, a fundamentally different approach to addressing our immune-related diseases. That's what we're talking about. And, just to really take it a step further, AditXT was founded to make sure that we identify these promising innovations, these innovations that can make a fundamental difference in our health, where we bring them in-house, build them for the purpose of commercialization. And immune reprogramming, which I know that we were talking about last time, is one of those innovations that we currently have, in addition to the other pieces that we were working on.
There's, people watch us, for the last 35 years, or listen to us the last 35 years on radio, and watch us for the last almost 20 years on television, know that we broadcast out of San Diego, California. And, we are an immunology center here because of what's going on down in La Jolla with UCSD and Scripps and so on and so forth. When people talk about immunology, this is a worldwide effort. And diagnostics for immunology, worldwide effort here. It's not just Southern California. Talk about where you guys fit in and what the rest of the world's doing.
Sure. So look, when you talk about the immune system, it is basically designed to protect us from threats. That's what it is. And on the therapeutic side of our business, which is the AdImmune platform, when you're talking about autoimmunity, The reason type 1 diabetes and psoriasis and stiff person syndrome and all other multiple sclerosis, the way they occur is because our immune system all of a sudden, instead of just protecting us against something, it will begin to recognize our own tissues as a threat, and it will begin to attack our own tissues. That's the issue with autoimmunity. So for the last 50 plus years, the approach to autoimmunity has been, let's suppress the immune system. So instead of just, this is the immune system attacking our own tissues, the whole concept is let's suppress it. Well, great. However, it also prevents our immune system from performing its own natural function.
Fighting off other.
Exactly.
Right.
So, what we're working on right now is how do you literally reprogram the immune system? How do you send instructions to the immune system to tell it not to attack our own tissues, right? So we've advanced the platform, and our goal is to enter into human trials early 2026.
Wow.
If we can show, obviously, safety first, followed by efficacy, it is a game changer. That's what we're talking about. And again, this is just one of the innovations we're working on.
Amro Albanna is the co-founder and CEO of AditXT Inc., their ticker symbol ADTX. We all came from the generation of our parents sending us across the street to the kid who had chicken pox, so you would go get exposed to it and get chicken pox and kind of knock it out of the way.
That's a herd immunity. That's herd immunity.
Yeah,
it really is essentially why vaccines are created, so you wouldn't have to do that. But I mean, honestly, that used to be how herd immunity would happen.
Yeah, natural.
Are our immune systems better now as a species than, let's say, they were 100 years ago or 150 years ago?
It's evolving. I mean, that's a fact, right?
There's more things to hurt it, though.
Yeah, our immune system is actually fascinating, how it's designed, how it's created. Because, I mean, think about 100 years ago, think about 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
How it actually evolves with all the, all the different
antibiotics and everything.
Right?
Well, but that brings up something. I just thought of something. If we're evolving, but so is technology.
Yes.
And we've bombarded ourselves with so many antibiotics now that they're becoming ineffective, right? So where does that balance in where you guys are fitting in? Because we've got immune system, we have autoimmune problem, and then we have antibiotics that are less effective than they were 10 years ago.
Now we really get into infectious diseases, right? And you were talking about COVID earlier. I heard that, right? Sure. So there is one more line of products that I would like to quickly talk about.
Sure.
And during COVID, the focus was on whether or not we were infected.
Sure.
That was the focus, right? Are you infected? We all got the whole test. Are you infected? Are you not? We worked on, during COVID, we actually worked on a product that provides immune status, not infection status, right?
So it's looking at the other side of the coin.
The other side of the coin. And I selfishly, I just want to mention something that we're looking to do right now, because post-COVID, what are people concerned with right now? Whether, what is the long-lasting effect of a vaccine or a booster?
Yeah.
Right? We all, whether you sit on this side of the equation or this side of the argument, we're looking at potentially using the same platform where we can look at your current immune status to try to determine if there is a long-lasting effect of the boosters and the vaccines you've gotten.
Whoa!
So I kind of took that opportunity to just kind of put it out there.
So how does that work? It's a pill form, or
it would be actually, that's more on the diagnostic side. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So we need to look at certain biomarkers based on our platform to understand 2, 3, 4 years later what long-lasting effects we may or may not have when it comes to COVID.
So your monitoring system on your platform seems like it's prepared to cover all comers, so to speak. What are the challenges? What are the speed bumps that you see coming in the way?
So inherently, when you're dealing with healthcare, when you're dealing with biotech in general, inherently it's a long process. I mean, that's reality. You can't just develop a molecule and go around the neighborhood, start injecting people, right? You just can't.
Yeah.
So biology is challenging. However, with our therapeutic platform, again, we've been pushing to get into human trials early 2026. There's regulatory, hurdles that we have to overcome. Capital that we have to overcome.
Sure.
I mean, no secret to your shareholders, whoever, or to your audience, whoever is looking at our company. We are a small company.
Sure.
$5 million market cap is a challenge, and that's reality. And it's reality of microcap biotech for the last 3 or 4 years.
Sure.
But we keep at it, we keep pushing forward because we must get these innovations out to the world.
I think when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about where this is going in the next 3 to 5 years, because it's interesting, because what you're talking about is really an enterprise-wide solution for something that many companies are trying to cherry pick. And you guys are covering the whole spectrum of it. I want to talk about it a little bit more.
All right, much more to come with Amro Albanna. Please do not go anywhere as the Big Biz Show continues right after this. Biz Show rolls on for the Loft 100 Studios. Hope everybody's having a good day. Day Trader Trio on stage. Customary for Godwin Sully back here at the bar.
Amro Albanna is our guest. Of course, he's the co-founder and CEO of AditXT. AditXT is the stock symbol. And we're talking about immune system monitoring. We're talking about a new platform. One thing that we didn't get to on our last break, a couple things were what is evolving here? What are you looking towards as a CEO of a public company that you can, in as much as you can divulge it because you are the CEO of a public company? But what do you think technology evolving? What are you guys trying to shoot for in the next 3 to 5 years? And where are you right now? Is there much changes happening with your company after capital formation in the next 18 months?
We must, as a company, we must show a successful monetization, successful milestone in 2026. That's what we've been working on for the last few years as a public company. And whether it's AdImmune going to human trials and showing safety, whether it's Persanta with the early detection of cancer going commercial in Q1 2026, Adivir, which is the platform that I mentioned right before the break as far as understanding our immune status, we must show that AditXT now, that whole model of acquiring, building, and capitalizing on an asset is a successful model. That's what we need to look to. That's what we look to do in 2026.
Their ticker symbol is ADTX. Amro Albanna, co-founder and CEO of AditXT Incorporated. AditXT.com is the website.
Hey, talk about what you call the merger. There's a press release came out. I think it was maybe today or yesterday, talking about the merger. And describe what the merger is. Describe what we're talking about, because you're spending a lot of time going forward with something that's pretty exciting.
All right. So you're probably talking about the Evofem acquisition.
Yes.
In women's health. So here is where we stand with Evofem, and to kind of again bring it back to your, for your audience. How does that even relate to what we were talking about earlier as far as immunology?
Sure.
You got to look at AditXT as a model where, again, we identify an innovation that we believe in, we want to build it, and we want to, position it for global growth. Evofem is a company that we met about a year and a half ago. We've been working with them, and the whole concept was and has been to acquire Evofem so we can establish a vertical in women's health. Today, after a year and a half, we approximately, and you got to look at the exact number, we are a significant shareholder and a strategic partner in Evofem, approximately 30% roughly on a fully converted and diluted basis. And we've established that relationship. As far as completing the acquisition, and again, just because, just because we're a public company, it will require shareholder approval by Evofem. Mm-hmm. It will require addressing their senior lender, and we've said that multiple times. That's a key obstacle that we must address. and it's going to require working capital for them. It's going to require addressing the remaining cap table. That's where we are with the EvoFem.
And what is it? What's the resultant entity? Is AditXT?
No, and I'm glad you bring that up. When we're using the word merger, it's actually a merger with a subsidiary of AditXT.
Got it.
That's really important. So AditXT is not going to become a women's health company.
And vice versa.
And vice versa, exactly. Yeah. So EvoFem does and today we do have significant interest in EvoFem.
Will EvoFem continue to be a publicly traded company? Because they are publicly traded, or do they divest out?
And I say this just, to be accurate. If the acquisition is completed, they become a private company. Today they're trading on OTC, but if the acquisition concludes, then it will become a private subsidiary, just like the rest of them.
And just as a teachable moment for the audience, what that means is you've got a publicly traded company. You have a company that's inside of what's called an entity. The entity is publicly traded. You can have a private company or a publicly traded company. This publicly traded company is divesting its major asset out into a subsidiary of AditXT. It's basically how the resultant works, right? And they're privatizing as a result of it.
It would be a private, yes, assuming the acquisition is completed, yes.
So what are you looking forward to most next? We got 5 months out of the year here. We got you got exciting merger potential coming up here. You got capital formation opening up again in the biopharma, which hasn't been opened up since second quarter last year. It opened and shut that fast in one 3 month period.
It was a spike.
It was a spike, and then all of a sudden, and I keep on hearing from biopharma, biotech companies that it seems like there's light at the end of the tunnel in terms of capital formation in the biopharma, biotech, bio world. Is that accurate? You think?
I believe
things are coming back?
So last interview we did, actually, I was in New York, and you know that I took it.
Right.
You were a little busy. Were you at the Wainwright conference? At the Wainwright. Okay.
So you can certainly sense there is a sense of optimism. And yes, biotech, microcap, growth in general has been, a challenge the last 3 years. Right now, companies that truly manage to weather the storm, I believe, will be well positioned to
start raising money again. Can I ask you this? Because what's interesting is this all comes down to sort of what the guidance that's given at the beginning of the year, every time one of the conferences comes around, and whereby we post COVID. You guys had a horrible 22-23 was horrible for biotech out of nowhere in terms of raising capital and so on. It's really the JP Morgan conference, which is what really kind of where everyone listens to guidance at the beginning of the year. The healthcare conference, it was for no reason for 2 years. Then 2024, remember they said it was going to be fine, but it's going to be second quarter. It was second quarter that everything pulled up. Why do you think post-COVID, biopharma has such a hard time with raising capital and surviving after really what proved to be it was proof of concept that our biopharma is alive and well. We saved millions of lives. It may not have been perfect. We didn't know during COVID, but you'd think it would have been a renaissance for biopharma. It was actually the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at many factors, but you also got to look at macroeconomics factors, right? With interest rates and other factors as well, where capital dries up in the growth sector, especially in biotech.
Because it's a 7-year play.
Exactly. Right. So you're talking about growth sector. It's not cash flow play. And you have to raise capital in order to get to that next milestone. Well, how can you raise capital if your market cap is, $1 million or 5 million or 10 million, even though if you represent a multi-billion-dollar opportunity? And that became a big challenge, especially for biotech microcap companies.
So again, going forward here, what are you looking forward to next? Where's your attention to be paid for the next year?
We got to show success. We got to reach those milestones in 2026. We're near commercialization with Persanta, early detection of cancer.
Yeah, I want to ask more about that, actually.
Yeah,
that's a whole show.
That's a whole show.
Yeah.
We got to talk about infectious diseases. We got to talk about immune modulation with AdImmune. And for AditXT and for your audience, look, the opportunity is figuring out what promising innovations are out there, really, that are truly undervalued.
Well, guess what? It means we're going to follow this company. That's it. You're coming back next week. That's how it's going to happen.
Amro, Albanna, co-founder, CEO, AditXT Incorporated, their ticker symbol ADTX. All right, that'll do it for this edition of The Big Biz Show. As always, to everybody out there for being with us, we thank you so much. We will see you next time.